need to start, and then I'm going to turn the microphone over to, where is he, Ted? Oh, right in front of me. No wonder I can't see it. And the title is Coin Care. We get into some coin horror stories. Some are more horrible than others. The first one happened to me way back in 1958. I was in school, and across the street from me there was a antique shop which was always closed. And I found out later on that it was closed because he was afraid that people would come in and steal things. Well, I was kind of a kid at the time. I guess I was, I don't know, 15 or 16. And he let me in, and I saw his partial keg of Vermont pennies, Vermont half pennies, excuse me, 1773, brilliant uncirculated half pennies. And I thought, hey, this is the greatest coin I've ever seen, and I'm going to take it home. Quickly put it into a plastic envelope so that it's not going to tarnish, which I did. And then within about 2 years, instead of a brilliant uncirculated Virginia half penny, it was a brown red and turning more towards brown. So I went out and I got another one actually. But what is the price of a Virginia half penny in 1958? $15. Yeah, uncirculated. Wow. Yeah. Nice. The next thing, in 1958, I took a trip to the ANS, and I said, I want to see some colonials, and I want to see some large cents. And they brought out some trays, and there's colonials and large cents, and they were beautiful. They were looking like they were almost uncirculated, until I turned them over. And on the back is the acquisition number of all of these, written in nice black India ink on the coin. On the coin. Oh my goodness. I don't know if they're still there or if they were able to get that off somehow. Well, anyway, the next year, 1959, I was down in Washington, D.C., and I went to the old, what they called the castle. The castle was the Smithsonian before they moved into their new building. And I wanted to see some 1915 and 1916 pattern quarters and Liberty Standing quarters. I loved them at that time. And they went to a mahogany cabinet. Sitting on wood in the mahogany cabinet are these proof 25-cent pieces, which they pulled out for me. Black. On one side they were bright and shiny, proof coins. On the other side they were just absolutely black.
I think they would have known better.
From sitting there. Well, going way back into the numismatist, and I'll read this part. Back in 1903, we've heard the name Farron Zerbe. He was probably the biggest coin promoter there was back in 1903 in that era. But anyway, he also made a visit to the Mint collection, which was then in Philadelphia. It's now in the Smithsonian, but here's what Farron Zerbe said. I found many of the silver proof coins of late years particularly covered in a white coating. On inquiry, I learned that an overzealous attendant during the last vacation months, when the numismatic room was closed, took it on himself to clean the tarnished coins. He purchased some metal polish at a department store and proceeded with his cleaning operation. Later, a coating of white appeared on the coins, which was slowly disappearing. I expressed my displeasure at the improper treatment of proof coins, and the custodian explained, hey, that's nothing. I've been here 8 years, and they've been cleaned 3 or 4 times in my time. Oh, no. So if you see those coins, you'll understand. But anyway, Zerbe speculated that should the cleaning continue in the future, there would be nothing left but plain planchets or badly worn coins.
Right.
He's right. It's been estimated that 90% of all the United States pre-federal coinage has been cleaned and retoned naturally or retoned with chemicals. There used to be a darkening compound. You could buy it in stores. But I'm told that garden rose dust works probably just as well. It's sulfur. And wherever there's sulfur, the coins are going to darken. Just a few horror stories for collectors. Why not to clean coins? In most cases, one more quote. why not to clean coins. In 1921, one of America's leading collectors, J. Sanford Solis, who was one of the founders of the ANS in New York City, he was in a hotel room using potassium cyanide, a lethal liquid to clean silver coins. He was found dead shortly afterwards. The presence of a glass of ginger ale on the table suggested he mistook one for the other. Even so, for many years, people were still using cyanide. It really shines up a coin. But, now, in 1954, deposed Egyptian ruler King Farouk's collection went up for sale. In the harsh desert atmosphere, the king had a large percentage of his coins lacquered. He'd lay them out, spray them with lacquer somehow, and put them back after they dried. In David Akers' sales catalog, we have copies of that catalog in our library here. The Rochester collector John J. Pittman in 1999. Many of Pittman's coins, which came from the Farouk collection, David Akers, who some of you probably had met, David Akers said, because these coins had been lacquered, and the lacquer had been taken off, no warranty is made that a coin has not been cleaned, or that the toning of any item is natural, nor that there is, in the absence of any defect which would render it unsuitable for encapsulation by any grading service. So he said, you might not get these coins graded, but based on their provenance and based on the prestige of King Farouk and of John Pittman, nobody ever brought that issue up. But if you look at the fine print in the front of that catalog, it says, hey, they may have been cleaned. When Harry Bass's collection went up for sale, and we have his catalog here too, in 1999, a number of the coins purchased in Egypt were oddly toned. They were kind of orangey color. I have a coin up here, an East African coin, which is kind of oddly toned that same way. They were copper coins purchased in Egypt. They were cleaned by the king, but not lacquered, and were turning back to their natural color. In maybe 150 years, they would look natural again. Finally, we find John J. Ford in the 1960s. John J. Ford, who some of you collectors have heard from or maybe bought from his catalogs. And Lester Merkin, suggesting through their respective coin companies that toning is an asset. Everybody in the past thought toning was terrible. You should dip them. You should do something with them. But now, they're selling coins. And I think you can see that you can't.
Rainbow colors and all that.
Lots of rainbow colors. Now, I don't know how stable these are. If in 20 years, they'll just be black coins, it'll change. But people are paying big prices for these pieces. I saw it down in Philadelphia at one of the auctions down there. Some incredible prices for rainbow-colored coins. Slowly, collectors began to come around until premiums are paid for common silver dollars and top grade, iridescent rainbow colors especially. Now let's look at storing your coins. How do we store these things? Albums to use and not to use, and finally the forbidden practice of cleaning. Now the forbidden practice of cleaning I'm going to talk about at some other time. And the albums, Ted is going to talk about a little bit in a minute. But if you're storing coins, don't store them in a cellar. Okay? Humidity tends to accumulate or accelerate chemical reactions and to form a layer of silver sulfate on the coin. Where does the sulfur come from? Well, atmospheric gases, sewers, food storage, burning coal, gas, and oil. It also comes from wool, silk, felt, paper, and wood, so don't use those when you're storing your coins. Especially don't sit them on oak, don't sit them on pine, and don't sit them on something that contains PCBs, polyvinyl chloride. Now, some of you, when you came up to buy the tickets, you saw this nice Heroes medal from Andrew Carnegie. I'm a hero, I got the medal. And it's a beautiful looking medal. It's sitting right next to it is this Andrew Carnegie medal, which is not such a beautiful looking piece. This one I got it and I set it on a stand that I got from the Mint, the United States Mint, one of those plastic stands. And on the back, I don't know if you can see here, where it touched the stand, there was corrosion just kind of bubbling out of that. I could clean this up, but I thought it's neater just like that. Another one is Cheryl Zabel. Now here's, you might not have even noticed it up here. Cheryl Zabel looks very nice and smiling and happy here. But on the back, awful, just awful. And this one sat in a polyvinyl chloride treated piece of kind of rubber foam. That was why years ago I said for everybody to, when you get your RNA metal, take it out of those, where that foam is. Now, one little part of it, about a quarter of the back, I treated it with some acetone. It doesn't look too bad, but the polyvinyl chloride, besides looking green, it does eat into the coin itself. I have a South Prussian coin here, and I still kept it in the polyvinyl chloride holder, just so that we can see what not to do. And it is green, and it is being eaten up. After tonight, I think I'll take it out of that, though. Now, keep your coins in airtight containers. To reduce humidity, include a small bag of silicone gel to absorb the water vapor. You can get silicone gel in a number of places, but a lot of times it comes in the box. If you buy electronics, it comes packed in the box already. But don't think that the silicone gel is going to work forever. After a few months, take it out when you're baking a cake or something and stick it in the oven and let it dry out. It'll work again. Also, store some uncovered bright Lincoln pennies in your airtight box. I don't have my box up here, but in your airtight box, store some Lincoln pennies so that the sulfur will move to the pennies before it goes to your silver coins. Other sulfur sources, egg yolks, onion, mayo, natural rubber. So tying coins up in a rubber band is probably not the best idea. And a big one is cigarettes. Cigarettes. If somebody is smoking, tell them to put it out when they're looking at your coins. Many collectors use 2x2 flips, or 2x2, well, kind of like these. These are inert, or pretty much inert. I was looking through my collection the other day, and some of the windows, some of the plastic windows were not the same material. It was that kind of rubbery polyvinyl chloride coated or treated plastic. And so you think you're saving your coin and you put it in one of these, but look closely. If you go to a show, many dealers who have excess numbers of these flips that are PVC infused will put their coins in there. Here, take it. It's yours. Buy it. You know, when you get it home, take a close look at it and throw those things away. People don't do that. Okay, let's see if I'm almost there. Almost time for Ted to come up. Okay, a subset of storage is coin albums. When I began collecting, the Whitman Publishing Company was selling blue albums. They were convenient. You put your pennies in there, and the back turned black if the penny were to touch the sulfurized paper, and the front was still bright and shiny. They were very convenient, but they didn't use, because they were cheap, they didn't use sulfur-free paper. Within 2 or 3 years, the folder's bright copper scents turned to dark, at least on the side touching the paper. They tell me that these new holders, which I bought at Ollie's for $1.99, this is for nickels. They tell me that they're inert and that they don't change your coins, the color of the coin. I don't know that I'd put pennies in there, but nickels I know are less apt to change color. The last story, and this is not a horror story. This is a wonderful story. I gave a talk at the Irondequoit Library on coins, and the next day a lady called me up and said, "I've got a cigar box full of coins at home. Can you come and take a look at them?" And you know, if you've ever had somebody call up, you know that in that cigar box is a bunch of coins from World War II that great-grandfather or grandfather brought home and piled them in the box. I said, oh, okay, I'll come over. Well, she was in her upper 60s. And I said, where did these coins come from? I didn't open the box yet, cigar box. And she said, they came from my great-grandfather, which is kind of a pretty good hint. I mean, there's her father and her grandfather and then her great-grandfather. And I said, what's in there? She said, I don't know. You know, nobody's even looked in that box in years. When I opened it up, there's little pieces of paper with a little mint seal on it. They were sealed in the mint. Her grandfather bought them, proof 3-cent pieces. He had a complete set of 3-cent silver and 3-cent nickel, all wrapped up in anti-tarnish paper, right as they came from the mint. And I guess he told everybody, don't open them, else they're going to tarnish. And when he died, they just kind of passed the box on and passed the box on. This was a box nobody was supposed to open. But Q. David Bauer sold them for $32,000, one cigar box, so not bad. Okay, your turn. Got to point the barrel of that in. Point it at the,
that historical background. But I'd let you know a little bit about what I've done to preserve my coins. I'll read this. I started collecting a couple of years ago when I was a member of the RJNA. About 20 years ago, I started to combine my collection with that collection of my late father-in-law, Buck Berger. A major source of my collection materials has been here after the RNA meetings and at the auctions, and of course dealers at RNA coin shows. When I finished assembling the two collections, I ended up something like 2 of everything and enough left over to form the basis for 2 U.S. type collections. What I did was I took all the coins out of the original blue albums, like Gerry was talking about. I put them into various albums, and I decided on the albums after I did some research to try and figure out, what would be the best for preserving them. And I came across the three different types, and I'll tell you a little bit about each of those types of albums in a second here. And I like to be able to, the idea that the albums, you can see both sides of the coin, number 1 and number 2. They're very good for preserving them if you get everything involved with what's required to preserve your coins along with the albums. The first one is this a Canadian large cent. This is possibly my favorite collection. The Danskos come in this kind of thing. You get this, and inside this cover is a preserving type of compound that's probably copper or something, and that is supposed to help keep the sulfur away and keep them from being damaged. So I'm just going to pass them around. This is the large and small cents, and it's 1858 through 2012. I don't think it's not 100% complete, but it's pretty close. The large cents are 18 millimeters, and I got them over at Brighton Tokens and Coins with help from Randy. A Canadian 5 cents. This is not quite complete either, but it includes some of the small cents and all the nickels up to pretty much the current, pretty close to the current. I'm missing a couple. Got to get up to Canada and see if I can find a dealer that has the rest of them. nice to do because I couldn't find anything else. You know, you can get an album like was shown to us earlier for the Canadian Nickels, for example, but this was another simple way to do it. And I like being able to do it with a dance call with the extra protection that they afford.
Ted, is this copper here?
And yes, the dance call,
Got a sheet of
those are actually Littleton sheets of copper that's supposed to absorb the sulfur and everything from the air. And I added them to the Dansko albums. So I just bought extras from Littleton Company, and I'll show you those in a minute. Jan Zabel spoke a little while ago about the tokens from Canada. And here's a few of the tokens and how I've preserved them in 2x2s, and then you'll see them as you go along around. And I attributed them and graded them, everything and so forth, from based on the Canadian Haxby book. Another solution, which is the second part of this, is the Intercept Shield, and you've all probably heard of that. This is one of the U.S. typeset from Intercept Shield, and the 10-cent piece, the mercury dime that's in that collection. It was in a 2x2 for about 60 years before I put it in there, and it looks pretty remarkably good today. And a lot of those were ones that I got when I was a kid. And it's a work in process. What I liked about the Intercept Shield is especially the idea that they were. I got them especially for closed coin sets. Some Indian head cents, nickels from older nickels, not the current sets where you're continuing to add. I spoke with a fellow from Intercept Shield maybe 10 years ago, and he said these will preserve your coins for at least 50 years without doing anything to them. Maybe longer, but he said he wouldn't guarantee beyond 50. This Jefferson Nickel set is one that I've modified here. It's a Littleton album, and what I did was I bought extra nickel pages so that I could extend the set. So Jefferson Nickels are still in production, and you'll see what I did to extend the set.